Hello and welcome to the car intro part 1 of today's video. Today's video is going to have two parts of the car intro. The first part is going to be a little bit of a summary of my first month with the X-H2S from Fujifilm. And then the second part of the car introduction will be a little bit about today's street photography, what I'm going to do, and the plan for the day. So I'll leave chapter markers below so you can follow along and then skip to the photos and all those good things as you wish. So here's part 1. Some thoughts on the Fujifilm X-H2S after about a month. I've had it for a month. So some thoughts. I'm going to echo a lot of the things I said in my first video about this camera after about a week of use. And so if you haven't seen that one, you can, let's see, the link would be, it's up here. It's up here. It's up here somewhere and down below. So, here's my thoughts. First, I really like the camera. Let's just start there. I really like the camera. It's a great camera. I have a few issues and concerns and some complaints maybe, but overall, it's a really great camera. Let's give you some numbers for context about how I've used the camera so far. In the 30 days I've had it, I've taken 6,136 photos. So I've spent some time with the camera. By my estimate, it's about 40 hours, give or take a little bit. So in that time, what I've done is I've done 2 commercial shoots. I've done a wedding that was 10 hours in the heat. I'll talk more about the heat in a minute. Let's see, I've done a total of 9 headshot photos, a group portrait session. So I've done some work, plus personal stuff, videos for YouTube, a couple projects for myself and just for fun. So I've gotten a fair bit of hands-on time with this camera. Full disclaimer, I have not done a lot of video with the X-H2S. I haven't really stretched the capabilities, found out what it can and can't do for me. That is something on my list of things to do, and I will cover that in the next video. I'll have some more time when summer classes end in a couple weeks. So stay tuned for more info on that. On the photo side, again, as I mentioned, I really like the camera. Here's some thoughts on that so far. Autofocus. Lots better than the X-T3 that I was previously using, as well as the X-T4. There's just no doubt about it. I really like it. It works well, predictable, and it's great. Second thing to talk about in general is the image quality and high ISO performance. It seems to my eye almost identical to the X-T3, X-T4, that previous gen of XT cameras. Looks really similar, which is, for me, great. I really like that image quality. Another thought in general, which kind of echoes what I said in the first video about this, I'm still getting used to the control layout because it's so much different than the traditional control dials of the XT series. I have moments where I'm currently in brute force mode where I know enough to use it and I haven't quite configured it to exactly the way I want, so I just get it done. I don't know if that ever happens to you when you're using a new device. You get excited and you get started and you configure it most of the way, but not all the way. And then you just live with the thing because you can't remember how to change it. So I'm kind of in that mode. The main thing for me right now is the ISO. I always tend to go the wrong direction when I turn the dial to change the ISO. And I think I can change that setting to go the way I want it to go intuitively. So stay tuned for more on that when I get to spend a little more time sitting with the camera and configuring it. A couple more thoughts on the differences between this camera and the X-T3 that I was previously using. The in-body image stabilization is awesome to have. I haven't pushed it real hard, but a couple times I've taken photos at 1/40th of a second and they're just great, nice and sharp, even with lenses that don't have optical image stabilization. So I'm really happy with that. The battery is much larger than the T3 series, and I've noticed that it gets much better battery life. However, I will say it's not as long a life battery in this camera as it is in my wife's X-T4. For example, when we were at a wedding last week, she went longer before she had to change batteries, and we were taking about the same amount of photos. I'm guessing that's partially because the processor in the X-H2S is got more power, so it might be using more battery more quickly. That's my thought on that. So one concern I have had with this camera so far is the heat that is generated by the stack sensor and the faster processor. So I have bumped up against the thermal warning. I've gotten the icon to show up a couple times. It happened at the wedding. It was the hottest day of the year. It was 95 plus degrees inside a church with no air conditioning. I got the thermal warning after about 40 minutes. And then later on, I got the text on screen that says it's going to shut down pretty soon. I was running the camera with the display screen open to give a little airflow back there, and then I shut the camera down for just about 30 seconds, and that seemed to address it. I'm a little surprised though. This was just only photo mode. I wasn't even in burst mode. Wasn't putting any real strain on the camera as far as performance. It was just doing the ordinary things that I usually do when I'm creating photos with a camera. So I have a plan to call Fujifilm and ask some questions about that and see what's going on. So my overall thoughts on the X-H2S. Did I need it? I'm still going to echo what I said in the first video. I don't really need it, but I'm really glad I have it. This camera doesn't do anything markedly better than my X-T3 was, but I am really enjoying using it. And I think that's an important acknowledgement to make, is that the enjoyment we have in using the tech and the tools we use is a big part of creating. So I encourage you not to overlook the fact that there is an element to how the usability, the handling, the interface, all the bits and pieces that go into using tools to create, that is part of the creative process. So I'm enjoying this camera quite a bit. I'm enjoying the challenge of learning it, learning new things, training myself in new things, learning new capabilities. So I'm really confident that this camera will see me for quite a number of years. Lots to grow into, got lots of capabilities that I haven't pushed up against yet. So it gives me room for growth, both technically and creatively. So I'm really, really happy. So I'll have another update to this video series about the X-H2S in about a month or so, in later September. So stay tuned for that. All right, on to top part 2 of today's car intro, and that is about what I'm doing today. I'm going to go do some street photography back in Bellevue. It's been about 2 weeks since I've been, 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm going to go check in all the buildings that are under construction, check in and see on this nice, lovely, sunny, mild weather day what's happening in Bellevue. I'm taking the traditional zoom kit I use, Fujinon's XF 10-24, the 16-80, and the 70-300. So that's what's in my bag today. I'll have some photos coming up here in a minute. I don't have any special objectives for today's plan. I'm just going to walk around, enjoy the weather, get some steps in. So I'll check in again after the photos. So until then, please enjoy the photos, and I'll see you in a few minutes. from downtown Bellevue, especially that last photo, as I like to call it, if no was a photo. No job for me. Thank you very much, hanging off the side of a building. Oh, washing windows. Also, some thoughts, as I mentioned, on the Fujifilm X-H2S. Now that I have 6,320 photos with this camera, and much, much more to come. So there's that. So a couple thoughts on this last visit to Bellevue. I've been there a whole bunch, as you know, if you followed along recently. And here's some of the advantages of going to a location a number of times so that it becomes familiar. One of the things I noticed was the things that were different. There were a couple photos like that in this batch, and one was the courier on that single wheel device. I don't know what it's called, except for it looks like it would hurt me. So I hadn't seen those before in downtown Bellevue. I had seen a couple earlier in the day driving by, and I thought, oh, something to notice. And then there was one right at the light where I was sitting or standing, and I took a sequence of him driving off. Another thing I noticed that was different were those window washers. So one of the advantages, again, of being familiar is you get used to what's the normal in a space, and then you start noticing the things that are different. And that creates wonderful, hopefully, photo opportunities if you're there to take advantage of them. Another thing I noticed in the frequent visits is the opportunity to potentially develop some photos with themes. For example, this was the third visit in a row where I saw an umbrella of some kind, usually larger ones, not just, rain umbrellas, but larger umbrellas. There was a yellow one on a construction site a couple weeks ago. Before that, there was a red one on a apartment patio, and this time there was another yellow one folded but on a construction crane. So I'll keep an eye out for that now. I've become aware of it, and maybe that becomes a theme. So some thoughts on the photos. I hope you enjoyed them. If you have feedback, thoughts, suggestions, as always, I'd really like to receive them in the comments below and have a conversation about the photos. Also, I will have a link to the photos on Flickr in the description below, so please click on that if you'd like to see the photos larger, higher resolution, and without the YouTube compression. As always, if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that thumbs up button and give it a like. That helps train the YouTube algorithm for you so it knows what videos to show you. Also helps this channel in showing this video potentially to more people, and I'm really, really grateful for that because it's all about. If you enjoyed this video, maybe watched a couple videos, if you would subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated, so I get a sense of the community and maybe things that you would like to see more of. That's a big, big help. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Next week, I'm going back to Bellevue, but not downtown. I'm going to the Botanical Garden for some summer in the garden photos, so look forward to that next week. Also coming up in the future, I'll be doing another follow-up video probably in a month or so about the X-H2S with some more thoughts and longer-term opinions using it for a couple to 3 months. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that as well. So until we meet again, I hope you stay safe, stay well, and have fun creating photos. Bye for now.